You pull up to your own home, the home you bought with your own money, the home you built from nothing, and a stranger points in your face and tells you to leave. Not just any stranger. A woman standing in front of 6 police officers. She just called on you. And you're standing there, calm, arms crossed, because you know something she doesn't know yet. She has no idea who she just made an enemy of. And neither do the 6 cops behind her, who, in about 4 minutes, are going to wish they never showed up. This is the story of Marcus Webb, a man who built everything from zero, raised a daughter alone, and on one Tuesday afternoon had to prove to the entire world that he belonged in front of his own front door. What happened next, and what she found out, I promise you, you are not ready for. Marcus Webb was 43 years old. If you passed him on the street, you might not think twice. White t-shirt, jeans, a quiet kind of confidence that didn't need to announce itself. What you wouldn't know, what almost nobody in his neighborhood knew, was that Marcus had built a logistics company from a single delivery van 12 years ago into a business worth $47 million. He didn't talk about money, didn't wear watches that cost more than cars, didn't need to. The mansion was not a statement. It was a promise he had made to his daughter, Zara, when she was 5 years old and they were sleeping in his sister's spare room. Marcus, one day, baby girl, we're gonna have a yard so big you'll get tired of running in it. Zara was now 12. She had the yard. She had the room with the purple walls she picked herself. She had the life Marcus had bled to give her. And Marcus, for the first time in 12 years, finally had one afternoon to himself. He had just come back from picking up groceries. No driver, no assistant, just him, his truck, and a bag of Zara's favorite cereal. That was when she appeared. Her name was Diana Hargrove. She had moved into the estate next door 8 months ago, new money from her second divorce settlement, neighbors said. She had never actually spoken to Marcus, but she had formed opinions. Very firm ones. She had seen the truck before, seen the man in the plain clothes. She had decided, without a single conversation, without a single fact, exactly what kind of person he was and exactly what he was doing outside this property. She had already called the police before she even reached the gate. Diana, excuse me, what do you think you're doing? This is a private residence. Marcus looked up, slow, unbothered. Marcus, I know it is. Diana, you need to leave, right now, before the police get here and they are already on their way. Marcus didn't move. He reached into his pocket slowly, calmly, and pulled out his keys. Marcus, I live here. Diana laughed, actually laughed. Diana, you live here, right, and I suppose you're going to tell me you own this place too. Marcus, I do. The laugh stopped. But she didn't back down, because in Diana Hargrove's world, backing down wasn't something she knew how to do. She stepped closer, voice lower, sharper. Diana, get off this property before I have you removed. Now here's what Diana didn't know. And here's what the 6 police officers who were about to pull up had no idea they were walking into. 2 minutes later, 3 patrol cars arrived. 6 officers. For one man standing in front of his own gate with a bag of groceries. Marcus watched them come. He didn't raise his hands. He didn't panic. He didn't run through the 1,000 calculations that a black man in America has been forced to run since childhood in moments exactly like this one. He was calm because he had been here before, not at this gate, but at this moment. The moment where the world decides it needs you to prove yourself. He had learned something important about that moment. The calmer you are, the louder the truth becomes. Officer Chen, sir, can you step away from the gate, please? Marcus stepped back one pace, cooperative, unhurried. Marcus, absolutely, officer. I want to make this easy for everyone. Officer Chen, we've received a report that you're trespassing on private property. Can I see some ID? Marcus reached into his back pocket, pulled out his wallet. And then, instead of just his ID, he pulled out something else. A card. Small, cream-colored, embossed letters. Marcus, that's my ID, and that's my business card with my home address on it, which is the address on this gate. Officer Chen looked at the card, looked at the gate, looked at Diana. Diana's jaw tightened. Diana, that could be fake. Anyone can print a business card. Marcus tilted his head slightly, the smallest, most patient smile. Marcus, would you like me to open the gate? He opened the gate, walked inside, and then the real story began, because what Diana did next is something that went far beyond embarrassment. It crossed a line that was going to cost her everything. Any reasonable person would have stopped. Diana Hargrove was not, in this moment, being reasonable. She turned to the officers, who were already exchanging glances, and doubled down. Diana, he's lying. I have never once seen this man arrive at this house in anything other than that beat-up truck. Look at what he's wearing. This is clearly not his property. Officer Chen kept his expression professional. Officer Chen, ma'am, he opened the gate with his own access code. Diana, I want to see the deed. I want to see documentation. I want a full check run on him right now. Marcus had not raised his voice once, but now he turned back around from inside his gate, and when he spoke, every officer went still. Marcus, officer, I would actually appreciate it if you documented this entire incident, all of it. Her name, her statements, the time, everything. A pause. Officer Chen, are you planning to file a complaint, sir? Marcus, I'm planning to let my attorney decide that, but I'd like the record to exist. The word attorney landed like a stone in still water. Diana's posture changed, just slightly, the first crack. But what happened next? What walked out of that front door behind Marcus? Shattered everything she thought she knew. The front door opened. Zara Webb had heard the commotion from her bedroom window. She had watched for 2 minutes, long enough to understand what was happening. Long enough to be furious. She ran down the driveway, straight past her father, and stood at the gate. 12 years old, school uniform, braids, and a look on her face that Marcus had privately always been a little afraid of. Zara, are you serious right now? That's my dad. He owns this house. He built this house. Zara wasn't done. Zara, I have lived here my whole life. My dad picked every brick of this gate. He planted every single tree in that yard, and you called the police on him. One of the younger officers looked at his shoes. Marcus put a hand gently on Zara's shoulder. Marcus, hey, I've got this, baby girl. Zara, Dad. Marcus, I've got it. She stepped back, reluctantly. And Marcus looked at Diana, really looked at her, and said something nobody expected. Marcus, you don't have to be embarrassed. You made a mistake based on what you assumed. That happens. What matters now is what you do next. Silence. Complete, total silence. Diana opened her mouth, closed it. Here's the part of this story that most people don't know, because Marcus never talked about it publicly. But what came out in the weeks after this incident changed not just Diana's life, but the entire neighborhood. Stay with me. Officer Chen, to his credit, did his job properly that afternoon. He ran a full check. He documented everything. He confirmed through official property records, tax documents, and the gate's registered access code. That 14 Ashford Grove had been owned by Marcus D. Webb for 7 years. He also, quietly, pulled Diana Hargrove aside before he left. What he told her was this: Marcus Webb was not just a homeowner. He was the primary donor who had funded the new community center 2 blocks away. He was on the board of the local school district, Zara's school district. And 6 months ago, when the neighborhood had lobbied against a developer trying to rezone Ashford Grove into commercial property, it was Marcus who had hired the legal team that stopped it. He had protected Diana's property value, without her knowing, without her ever saying thank you, without her ever knowing his name. Officer Chen finished by saying something that Diana would think about for a long time afterward. Officer Chen, the man you just tried to have removed from his own home is the reason you still have a home to live next to. Diana Hargrove did not sleep that night. She had spent hours replaying the scene, not as the wronged party she had cast herself as, but as what she actually was. A woman who had looked at a man in a white t-shirt and decided, in seconds, that he didn't belong. Not because of anything he said, not because of anything he did. Because of what she assumed. She rang the bell at 9 a.m. Marcus answered, still calm, still unhurried. Zara was visible in the background, watching from the hallway with arms crossed, very much her father's daughter. Diana, I owe you an apology, a real one, not the kind people give when they get caught, the kind they give when they understand what they did. Marcus waited. Diana, I looked at you and I made every wrong assumption a person can make, and I was wrong about all of it, and I am sorry for you and for your daughter who had to see that. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. Marcus, I appreciate that. It takes something to say it. Another pause, then the thing that surprised Diana most. Marcus, do you drink coffee? She blinked. Diana, what? Marcus, Zara made too much. Come in if you want. You can meet her properly. She's going to lecture you, I won't stop her. But then maybe we start over. Diana Hargrove stood at that gate for a long moment. Then she walked through it. 3 weeks later, Marcus organized a block gathering. He did it every year. Most of the neighborhood had forgotten or never knew who paid for the catering. Diana came. She brought food she had cooked herself. She introduced herself to neighbors she had lived next to for 8 months without speaking to. And at some point during the afternoon, she found Zara sitting alone by the garden wall, reading. She sat down next to her. Zara looked up, sized her up the way only a 12-year-old can, and said, Zara, my dad says the bravest thing a person can do is admit they were wrong. He says most people would rather be right than be better. Diana nodded slowly. Diana, your dad's a pretty smart man. Zara, I know. I've been telling him that for years. He never listens. Diana laughed, a real laugh. The first real laugh she'd had in longer than she cared to admit. Here is the part of this story that Marcus never posted about, never made a video about, never used for likes or attention. About a month after that afternoon at the gate, Diana Hargrove quietly donated a significant sum to the after-school program at Zara's school. She didn't announce it. She didn't post it. She just did it. Marcus found out through the school board. He never mentioned it to her. But at the next block gathering, he saved her the seat next to his. And she took it. Marcus Webb never made a viral post about what happened at his gate. He told me about it over the phone when I reached out through a mutual contact. I asked him why he'd never spoken publicly about it. He said, Marcus, because the point was never to embarrass her. The point was to still be standing when it was over. Calm, unbothered, in my own house, my daughter watching. The point was to show her what dignity looks like. I've thought about that a lot since. In a world that keeps asking Black men to prove themselves, to justify themselves, to shrink themselves, Marcus Webb stood still, arms crossed, unbothered. And let the truth do all the work. Drop a comment below. Tell me, when was the last time someone underestimated you? And how did you handle it? If this story moved you, share it. Someone out there needs to hear it today. Subscribe if you're new. I tell stories like this every week, the kind that stay with you. I'll see you in the next one.